going to chapter 26, inflation causes and effects. So we're going to start with inflation itself and the causes. So when I talk about inflation, inflation simply means a persistent rise in the general price level. That means price continue to rise over time in a country. Like Libya, for example, or the price of goods and services continue to rise over time. That is what inflation is about. I think it's clear. Then we have deflation, which is the opposite of inflation. That means a persistent fall in the general price level. So if price continue to rise over time, it is inflation, and if price continue to fall over time, we call it deflation. Then we have hyperinflation. For hyperinflation, it simply means a high level of inflation, maybe 50% in prices. And how to measure, how to calculate inflation, we have to use consumer price index. We talked about that before, CPI. So we go to causes of inflation. So here I wrote, inflation can be caused by two main factors. One, which is too much demand in the economy or rising cost. So too much demand within the economy simply talks about an increase in aggregate demand in the economy. So that will bring about demand pool inflation. So that takes us to demand pool. I wrote demand pool. An increase in demand with no response to supply will bring about a rise in price. So if demand is increasing and supply is not responding to that increase, then there will be excess demand within the economy, and that brings about increase in aggregate demand. And if aggregate demand increases, it will lead to demand pool inflation. You get the point here, please? Okay. So for demand pool inflation, I wrote demand pool inflation is caused by excess demand within the economy as a result, bringing about a rise in the average level of price in the economy. So when there's demand pool inflation, it will definitely bring about an increase in the average level of price within the economy. So what are the reasons why we could have demand pool inflation? Number one, low interest rates. When I talk about interest rate simply means the price of borrowing or the reward for saving. So if interest rate within the economy reduces, a fall in interest rate means the cost of borrowing has reduced. And if the cost of borrowing reduces, it means a lot of people will have the opportunity to borrow more, to spend. So consumption would increase because purchasing power within the economy would increase. So people have access to credits. So having accessibility to credit means you can as well spend as much as you can. That will bring about increasing demand within the economy. Is it clear? Mm-hmm. Two, firms may increase their spending on investment. Firms do buy too. Not only consumers that buy. Firms also invest. They buy components, they buy raw materials to become finished goods. Yes or no? Mm-hmm. So, yeah, firms may increase their spending on investment. This may be as a result of responding to high demand of consumers, as a result increasing the capacity of operations. Because the demand, we said it's demand pool inflation. So firms must respond to that increasing demand. They must try to ensure they increase their capacity so that they can meet up with the needs of consumers. So to do this, they might have to employ more workers, which increases their cost. Which they might have to increase whatever they use, and that might increase the prices for such thing. So it's about the demand itself, bringing about increasing price. So firms now demand for more. They demand for maybe more labor. They demand for maybe more equipment. They demand for more raw materials to meet up with the increasing demand within the economy. So in the course of increasing these demands, firms over there would also increase their prices. So that brings about increasing aggregate demand through the firms. Do you get the point here? The third one, government increasing its spending or cutting taxes. Government might increase subsidies. So if government is increasing subsidies, it means
deflation.
Yeah, it will bring about deflation. Yeah, but deflation would happen if demand starts falling or supply starts increasing. So you won't talk about deflation here. So we're talking about inflation. So if government increases subsidy, it means prices for goods and services would reduce. As a result of that, demand would increase. So the response over time, we'll talk about deflation, but here it's about inflation, which simply means a fall in price leading to an increase in demand. So if the cost of production falls, based on the fact that government has increased subsidy, it means prices would fall. An increase in the price level, a fall in the price level will bring about increasing aggregate demand. So do you get the point here? So if government increases subsidies, it reduces prices, demand will increase. if government cuts taxes, let's say income tax, so that means disposable income would increase. People will have more money to spend. That would also increase demand. So just try to avoid using cost or supply in this situation. It's strictly about demand. So you just have to talk about a low price, because a low price will bring about a high demand based on the law of demand. It is only when the price is low, the quantity demanded increases. So our point here is reasons why we have an increase in demand. Do you get it? So increasing subsidy means prices fall, supply would reduce, so demand would increase. Cutting taxes, income tax, would mean disposable income would increase, purchasing power would increase, people will buy more. So these are reasons why we have demand pull inflation. Do you get it? And the last one here is about the world demand for a given country export. If demand for a country's export increases based on the fact that there's a boom within the economy, economic activity is improving all over the world, that would also increase demand. That would bring about inflation. So demand is increasing here, response is that an increasing price. Is it clear?
Yes, sir.
Any question about that?
No.
Okay. So we go to cost push. For cost push inflation, I wrote, this may occur because of changes in the supply side. So for cost push inflation, it's simply the supply side of the economy. Are you with me? Are you with me, please?
Yes.
Okay. For cost push inflation, I simply say, for cost push inflation, it occurs because of changes in the supply side of the economy. So it's simply about the supply side, which is supply of goods and services. So it occurs because of rising cost. So if we have cost push inflation, it simply means the cost of production is increasing within the economy, and firms do not have any other option than to push the price, the high cost in form of higher price to consumers. That is cost push inflation. Do you get it there? So what are the reasons why we could, or what are the sources of increased cost within the economy? One, wages and salaries. So an increase in the wages will have a significant impact on cost of production. If wage rate increases in the economy, it means firms have to pay more to their workers. That means
A rise in price.
a rise in cost. A rise in cost leading to a rise in price. So it does not start with price. It starts with cost. Then price increases. I think you get the point there, right? So the second one, high importation prices. A boom in the world economy may push up commodity prices, bringing about a rise in the price of finished goods. So there's a boom in the economy, which means we can now import more based on the fact that we have access to money. So increasing importation of raw materials would increase the prices of raw materials. Do you get the point here? So firms that do more of imports will have to pay more to those selling to them. As a result of that, bringing about a high cost of importation, bringing about inflation. Do you get the point there? The third one, firms aiming at increasing profit margins. Sometimes firms, they want to increase their profit margin, they want to make more profit. And to do that, sometimes they have to increase the price of goods and services. That will bring about cost push inflation too. Do you get the point? And the last one, government can raise indirect taxes. And you know what indirect taxes are? Taxes that are on consumption or expenditure. If government increases indirect taxes, it means firms that also purchase goods will have a higher cost of production. Then they have to increase the price. Do you get it here? Or government reducing subsidies. If government reduces subsidies, it means the cost of production for firms would increase. And if the cost of production for firms increases, they have to push the high cost in form of high price to consumers. So these are the reasons why we have cost push inflation. Is it clear?
Yes.
Any question about that?
No.
But I did not finish demand pool. There's something I missed in demand pool.
Which is
The graph that represents the demand pool. I will
Figure
explain
one.
it. I will explain it. Anyway, going back to demand pool, I wrote it. The last point about demand pool I did not talk about there is that demand pool inflation may also be caused by growth in the money supply of a given economy. When I talk about growth in supply of money in a given economy, it simply means the flow of money in the economy is increasing. If the flow of money is increasing in the economy, that means maybe through a fall in interest rate or increasing money supply, accessibility to money. That means people have access to money. That would also increase demand. So that will bring about demand pool inflation. So the graph representing the demand curve is this. Here, the aggregate demand curve, the aggregate demand is increasing within the economy from AD1 to AD2. As a result of that, it will bring about a rise in the price of goods from P1 to P2. That's an increase in aggregate demand. Is it clear? Then the short-term aggregate supply will still be the same, because the supply is not responding with demand. That is why we have a rise in price. Clear?
Okay.
So we go on to, I think I gave you, sorry, let me check the one I gave to you. 1, 2, right?
Yes.
Okay. So that's about that. Then in summary, a fall in short run for the supply. In summary, a fall in short run aggregate supply will lead to inflation. So a fall in short run aggregate supply will definitely lead to inflation, because supply is reducing, and if supply is reducing, price will rise, because supply is reducing not because firms reduces their supply, because demand exceeds supply. So demand overshadow supply. That is why supply is reducing at this point. So that will bring about an increase in price. I think it's clear.
Mm-hmm.
So we have a note here. Sometimes inflation may be primarily demand pull in nature. In other periods of time, cost push. But what we have is stable economy. In a stable economy, but growing economy, the high price could be as a result of both demand and supply. Do you understand?
Yes,
That's the point there. So a fall in the short run aggregate supply curve will bring about a rise in price. So it is graphically represented as this. So there's a short run aggregate supply curve shifting leftward or upward from SRA S1 to SRA S2 to bring about a rise in price from P1 to P2. I think it's clear. Is it clear, please?
Yes, sir.
So that takes us to the other side, which is we talked about short run aggregate. We talked about, so that's the graph for that. So that takes us to deflation. Are you there?
Yes.
Okay. So we go to deflation. But here I wrote, a rise in price will lead to a fall in aggregate demand in the economy. This might as well increase aggregate supply. As a result, will bring about a fall in the price level in the economy, which may lead to deflation. Now, this is how it works. A rise in price will reduce the quantity demanded within the economy based on the law of demand. The higher the price, the lower the quantity demanded. Done. A rise in price will bring about an increase in quantity supplied in the economy based on the law of supply. The higher the price, the higher the quantity supplied. So now, the opposite is the situation. Demand is falling, supply is increasing. As a result of that, price will definitely fall. This is what brings about deflation. A fall in price, a fall in aggregate demand, or a rise in aggregate supply. Do you understand what deflation is here? For inflation, it's either a fall in price or a rise in cost. For deflation, it is either a fall in aggregate demand or a rise in aggregate supply. Do you get it clear, please? So I wrote, okay. This may lead, so deflation is caused by one, a fall in aggregate demand. I talked about that. An increase in aggregate supply. I talked about that. And the last one is, okay, the second to the last one is weaker exports. You know, if the export of a given economy is weak, it might be weak because the economy produces products that lack quality. So it is not interesting to foreign customers. So whatever excess being produced in that economy will not be sold, because foreign customers will not want to buy when they have other options that give other countries that could give them quality products. So your export is weak. If your export is weak, it means you won't be able to sell to foreign customers. That will bring about excess supply within the economy. Deflation will occur because you have excess in the economy. And the last one is unused productive potential within the economy. Unemployment rate. A rise in unemployment rate within the economy means the productive potential of that economy is not fully realized. Therefore, level of income would fall. Demand would reduce. Supply will be high. That also brings about deflation. Do you understand deflation here? So the graph representation of deflation is this. We have it here. So deflation. So these are figure 3. Yeah, okay, I'm gonna go that. Yeah, so here, if a rise in aggregate supply would bring, as a result of an increase in price, bring about a rise in aggregate supply. So a rise in aggregate supply where demand is not responding, which the aggregate demand is not responding, will bring about a fall in price. Deflation. That's the point there. You get it?
Yes.
And the second one is a fall in aggregate demand from AD1 to AD2, which does not respond to a fall in short-run aggregate supply curve, will bring about a fall in price too. So a rise in aggregate supply and a fall in aggregate demand will bring about deflation within the economy. Is it clear? So these are the reasons why we have deflation within the economy. Any question about that? Thank you.